Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you about something that I'm sure has been on a lot of people's minds lately, mine included, and that's the question of what should we do this upcoming academic year? Every school seems to have a slightly different plan for the upcoming year, whether it's
completely remote instruction and letting nobody come back, letting everyone come back but all classes are remote, letting only a portion of students come back, having classes outside and utilizing pods, a hybrid model, or even those that are
trying to go back to normal. Well, I have a lot of opinions on all of these plans and which are better or worse than others. That's not what we're here to talk about today. Should you take classes? Should you take a gap year? Should you take a leave of absence? Should you drop out even? If you take a pause from school, what are you going to do on such short notice? And above all, how do we know what's best for us? Alright guys, I've been thinking a lot about these questions lately. I think too much for my own good, but I know a bunch of you are the same way. You know what's even worse is the future is so uncertain right now that it feels like it's impossible to plan. Like, we're just placing bets on the next year and hoping that it works out. Which sucks! This all sucks! It's a terrible place to be. My heart goes out to every international student at a US college right now who's facing even more uncertainty than I can imagine. I know these decisions are hard to make, and I certainly can't make them for you, but I felt like the very least I could do was share with you what I've been considering as I've been approaching these questions and these decisions. And take it as guidance, or just things you want to think about, whatever you need. The first thing that's worth being considered is what's important to you. You know, what people, what places, what experiences matter the most to you. What are your goals for this time in your life? For me, I want to graduate with 2 degrees. I want to graduate debt-free. I want to study abroad. Those are all things that are really important to me. Keeping in mind what matters to you and your goals, are there any non-negotiables for you to reach your goals? Based on the constraints put on you by your program, your college, or whatever else is relevant. Like for me, in order to graduate with 2 degrees, I need to be on for the fall and winter back-to-back of my last year of college. It helps narrow things down. So now that you're thinking about what and who matters to you and what your constraints are, what is your ideal scenario given all this? Even if it's unlikely, what's your ideal? And then conversely, what's your worst case scenario? A realistic path you could take, but you don't think you'd be too happy doing it. What can you actually afford? And you know, for some people this might be an easier or harder question to answer than others. I'm in a weird position right now where I'm planning on going back to school in the fall and engage with Dartmouth's hybrid model, but I'm not gonna get my financial aid package until like a few weeks before I move in, which is really weird. Usually you have a few months heads up so you can figure things out. So that's really scary. Yeah, no, that's just really scary. So now thinking about all of this and all of these scenarios, what are your actual options? You have your best case scenario, you have your worst case scenario, I'm sure you have others in between. These are your options. You can rank them if you want, if that will help, or you can just sit down, think about them, draw them out, write them down, whatever you need to do to evaluate them. Keeping in mind that it's easier to say yes originally and then change your mind and say no, than it is to say no and then change your mind later to yes, and that you have forever to work but you only have a limited amount of time in school. But hey, maybe that doesn't matter to you and that's totally fine, totally valid, you do you. Looking at all your options and all the scenarios, how will your decision impact what matters to you? And is there anyone you can talk to? You know, if you have one of those scenarios in the middle that you think is much more realistic than your ideal, but you're still kind of uneasy about it, can you think of anyone that took a similar path for whatever reason that you can reach out to and talk to about their experiences? And honestly, that could be enough for you. Maybe that's enough for you to make your decision. Super jealous if it is. I'm the most indecisive person I know. Some less important points but still relevant things to consider are, do you burn out easily? Do you think you could actually maintain your most viable options and still be happy and successful? Do you have interests that you really wanted to explore at school, or interests that could lead you to a really cool volunteering position or job if you take time off? Do you have courses that would be well suited for an online format, or do you require a more hands-on experience? I'm personally in a weird boat there because I'm an engineering major, so there are some courses that are more like theory and like math-based, but there are a lot of other courses that are hands-on, and rightfully so. I think the idea of getting an entirely virtual engineering education is terrifying. Though I do trust my engineering school a lot to come up with some pretty innovative solutions. Would it benefit you more to live off campus or at home or in a dorm or in an apartment with friends somewhere in the middle of nowhere? What's stopping you from making a decision now? Are you waiting for more information? If you are, what information would you need in order to feel comfortable making a decision? And of course, do you feel safe? All of these regulations are put into place for your safety. You should always feel safe. And ultimately, it's necessary to consider the final outcome. And I can actually answer this one for you. For almost everyone watching this video in college who's struggling with these decisions right now, the final outcome is, you'll graduate, you'll get one, maybe more than one degree. You'll move on to that phase in your life. You'll travel, you'll move on to more school, you'll get a job, you'll engage in other experiences. No matter what, that will happen if you really want it to. Even if things get really hard sometimes and we have a lot of anxiety in the process, you'll be okay. What's most important is keeping you and those around you safe and making the most of what is the most important to you. What other people are doing doesn't matter. You need to do what's best for you given what matters to you. And that's easier said than done sometimes. I know it's something that I keep needing to say to myself, and I keep hoping that I will believe it, but I do think it's true. And I hope this video was at least somewhat helpful in guiding you to a decision. My name is Hannah, and like and subscribe if you want. I hang out in this corner of the internet sometimes. You can find me on other corners of the internet down below. Alright, I hope you guys have a great day, and good luck.